Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm just doing a voiceover for the video I made yesterday before I got my new microphone. And what I'm using here are the papers out of the Somerset Studio magazine. I've cut them down so that they're 8 by 8 inches, and I want to make some envelopes out of them, obviously, because I've got my envelope punch board out. But I just want to check that the envelope is going to be folded in the correct way so I can maximize the images that are on these lovely papers. If you haven't seen these papers before, they're actually the artist's papers that come with the magazine. I've got a piece of copy paper cut at the same size, and I'm making myself a template. Not a template to make the envelope, but just a template so I can work out the best positioning on the paper itself, so I can make sure that I get what I want when I cut. Now I've just marked it to say that is the first notch point, and now I'll lay it over these papers that I've cut down and see that the image is going to be in the best direction that it can be for me. I'm just testing this out to see whether I like where that image has ended up, and it has. I like that. Obviously I'm not going to get the images straight because they're all going to be at an angle, but it's going to be the best position that I can get. So if you have papers where you want the image in, the best place possible, I think this is a good way to do it. I've never really done this before. It just came to me when I was looking at the papers that I did want to get them so that, something that I wanted the right way up wasn't upside down. And by marking this first notch, I'm going to achieve that. Now I also wanted to let you know while I'm going through doing this that I have sent off my prizes for my 1800 and 1900 subbies. One went to Amanda. Amanda is local. She actually does live in Brisbane, not far from me. So I did post that off. And the other one was Carol from Oak House Journals. And she is in the UK. So Carol got in touch and I sent that off about a week ago. So it's probably going to be a few weeks to get there. Who knows with the current environment, but we'll just see how things go and hopefully it will arrive at some point. I'm coming up close to my 2000 subbies, which is really fabulous. I think I've got 1966 as of this morning. So thank you everyone, and welcome to all my new subscribers. I will be doing a 2000 subby giveaway, and I have to find a prize for it, but I'm thinking I'm going to give away one of my journals because 2000 subbies is just, going to blow my mind when I get there. What I'm doing now is just notching out the envelopes using the punch board and scoring them so that they will be easy to fold up. So I'm making 4 of them at a time. I think it's a good idea if you can to do multiples, because you have a stash of ephemera that you can use in your journals, and it's pre-made. Then I'll just fold them all in. Now when I fold these envelopes, it's a personal thing that I don't like the peak that sits up in the center of the envelope, and so I always score it and then tuck it under. But that's just me. A lot of people don't mind, they leave that peak where it is, but it's a personal bugbear of mine that I don't like it. And then I can glue the envelopes down and turn them into envelopes. And this paper that's in the Somerset Studio magazine is actually really, really thick, so it's really pretty to make things with because it stands up really well. It's also blank on the inside, so with the leftovers, because it's quite large, I'll be able to make some tags and other journaling spots with plenty of room to journal on the other side of them. So I might do that on camera another day. So I'm pulling them all together now, and also I am going to be doing something else to them. Now I won't do it on camera because it is a little bit not dangerous, but I don't want to advocate people to start using wax. I'm going to put some wax seals on them, and I am not an expert at it, so I thought I'd better do it off camera. I managed not to set anything alight, so that was good. I didn't burn the house down. I didn't even set the smoke alarm off, which was excellent, because I thought that that might happen, because there is a little bit of smoke when you use a wax seal, or use the wax and melt the wax down. I'm just finishing off the 4 envelopes now. Making sure that I'm going through and burnishing all those edges so that they're nice and crisp, and also the flap on the top. And thank you to everyone. I did get some feedback this morning when I woke up. I saw feedback from people about the new microphone, that the recording is a lot louder, and that's good. I'm very pleased. So the next step I'm going to do, even though the pages are really pretty, I want to put some vintage papers down onto the surfaces. So I'm putting some of my old chemist journals down on the envelopes, and I do it to all of them. You can see I'm sticking a piece down here, just tearing it off, and I'll also put some down on the flap of the envelope as well. I'll go through and do that, and I'll come back once that's finished. Now here are the envelopes. I've decorated them all with the vintage paper, and I have added the wax seal. So I've got wax in a variety of colours. I've got green, brown, gold. So I've tried them all, and this is my box of wax and seals. So you can see some are different sizes. Some of them have wicks in them. This is actually my wax seal. This one is quite, they're quite expensive. They still sell these. It's got a brass head and a wooden handle, and it's very heavy. And I bought this one because I did invitations for my 30th birthday with it. This is a craft seal. It's 7 gypsies, and it's a clock face. So it's not as expensive. I can't remember. I used to sell little kits in the shop for them, but they were pretty cheap. I don't even know if they make them anymore. And the fun part of wax seals is cracking them. But as I said, I'm not an expert, so I've managed to get wax under the flap. I don't think you're meant to do that. However, it just happened. Now this here is the green wax, and it's quite thick and bulky. You can see that. I also purposely put some drips of wax elsewhere on the back of the envelope. And I had a bit of trouble actually breaking this. I think the wax was still a bit too warm inside. It wasn't as set as it should have been. And you can see again some of the colour of the papers come off. But I still like the effect that I've got there. The next step is to put something on the front of them, and I've chosen a sheet of my digis. This is just a sheet of postcard fronts, and I'm ripping them out and putting them on. I'm choosing the envelope, the postcard fronts that have got a similar tone to the papers. So I've got a few different postcard fronts to choose from, but I really like that I'm sticking within that colourway and inking the edges, because this is just printed on copy paper. So it's not the greatest paper, but it looks really good. Now I tried to put some stamps on with it, but I didn't end up going with that because I didn't like it. I think that it just ruined the piece. So I ended up not using the stamps and just using the little postcard fronts that I did. So I'm just checking out and talking about the tone of the postcard front. So this one here is a really good match for the paper that I'm putting it onto. So that's something to be aware of if you're trying to, mix different sort of papers from different sources. I think that looks quite nice now. Even though the postcard's only small, it enhances the piece without covering up the actual picture. So I'm looking at what one I can put on here, and this one here I like, so I'll put it on. I'm not bothering to cut it out either. The ruler is just much simpler to do, except for this little piece on the edge, and then I had to use my scissors. You could cut them in the cutter, but I'm lazy, so I didn't want to get up to the cutter. I do that a lot. I could cut in the cutter, but it's just as easy to use the ruler or the scissors. So, and I think they look best in the center, but that's me. I wanted to put it maybe offside a little bit so I didn't hide all the picture of the building behind, but it just didn't look any good. And I think it looks quite good there. I'll just go through now and complete the other two. The next step was to get out my box of snippets, and I pulled out some little tiny stamps, and I'm going to put them on to further enhance the front of the envelopes. So I was just testing a few things out and whether or not I would put some other labels on, but in the end I decided not to. This postcard doesn't have any stamps, and I ended up putting 2 on here. So I didn't want to necessarily just put a whole bunch of stuff on. I just wanted to give it a bit of, a bit of difference to just having the postcard itself. I decided in the end that I didn't actually like any of the stamps. They didn't go well enough, so I only put them on 2. And now I've got a bunch of 4 postcards, and I'm very happy with them. So thanks for joining me today. Cheers.